Muhammad Ali said, "The fight is won or lost far away from witnesses, behind the lines, in the gym and out there on the road, a long time before I dance under those lights." How you set yourself up in the beginning, the preparation that you do, what you do before you stop the flow of alcohol, that's really going to help to at least reduce by a large amount any fear that you might have. For me, I've got two halves in my adult life, and the turning point in that life, the turning point that split those two halves down the middle, wasn't stopping drinking alcohol, it was making the decision to stop drinking alcohol. That's what changed everything. What happened while I was a drinker, all of that stuff was inevitable. You keep pouring poison into your mouth, and inevitably what is going to happen to you will happen to you. Different people suffer different outcomes, different consequences, but we all have consequences to this, right? Whether they're physical, mental, or just in your life, stopping you from doing the things that you should have done. What happened after I stopped drinking alcohol was also inevitable. I am where I am now because of all the things that I've done, because I made that decision, and because I made subsequent decisions after that in the direction that I wanted my life to go. And if that can happen to me, that can also happen to you. Now, I know this because I've seen it over and over and over again and again and again. I've seen some of the most unlikely people go through this same process, right? They begin in the same place with fear and doubt, uncertainty, conflict, insecurity, and within a few weeks, they're just full of hope, right? Most of the fear then drops away. Right? Once you put yourself, or you allow somebody else to put yourself into a position where you're living through a growth mindset, where stopping drinking alcohol is not an obstacle, it becomes an inevitability, right? The discomfort itself stops being an obstacle. There are some parts of this journey that are just uncomfortable, and there's nothing you can do to get away with that. Sometimes they're even a bit painful, especially the more psychological stuff that you put yourself through, right? But it's a natural part of the process. It's supposed to happen that way. It's like if you were going to the gym and you're trying to pump iron to put on some muscle. Let's say you're pumping up your biceps, and the pain that you get in your biceps towards the end of your set, that burn, that's part of the process. You expect it. It's natural for that to happen. You want that burn, it's the burn that tells you that you're absolutely on the right track. I'll give you another example of when you're on a diet. You're trying to lose a few pounds, and that a certain amount of hunger is expected. A bit of discomfort here and there is expected as part of the process. I think it helps you to see also that most of the hunger that you were feeling before, that you were feeding before, is psychological, or it's emotional hunger, and it's natural. It's a natural part of the process to accept that hunger and go with it. It's expected, and you get used to it. So before you set out on any of these things, that you're going to feel discomfort at some stage of the change, and usually earlier on, and it's a discomfort that diminishes as you go on. You can turn up the discomfort in your head by telling yourself mental stories about what might happen to you, but you can also turn it down. That's the fear again, So if I want to change something in my life, I read books, or I'll do courses, or I'll watch videos. If I want to change something fast, I take on a coach, because it's one of the quickest ways for me to get where I want to go, right? It costs a bit of money, but I tell you, it's worth it. It's also one of the easiest ways for me, because in the long run, even though it might be tough in the moment, the coach can really help you to see specific things very quickly, and then you see results sooner. You're putting in less effort in the long term, and you're saving really your precious time for other things that you want to do. I remember one of my personal coaches when I was in Spain. This fella was a complete animal. He stopped being a gym instructor not long after I was training with him. He became a cop, not one of the local cops, but one of the National Guardia Civil. And like I said, he was an animal. He was built like a tank. And anyway, one of the first sessions that I had with this guy was an arm session. And he pushed me so hard that when I got back into my car after the session, so we're talking about 10 minutes warm up, 50 minutes of doing the arms. I think we did some of the shoulders and back as well. And then 10 minutes cool down. I got into the car and I could hardly lift my hands onto the steering wheel. My hands were that screwed. It just drained my muscles of all their energy. But he told me beforehand what he was going to do to me. He told me beforehand what I should expect, right? And he knew exactly what buttons to press. So that session really prepared me for everything else that was going to come. And that's what this tip is about. Preparation is always an essential component of the process. It's always an essential component of our process. You know, we have a 2-week preparation module, even a quick start for those who want to get started straight away. If you set yourself up in advance, you really can define the rest of your journey before you take that first step, right? You can eliminate a lot of the fears, because you know, most of the fears are bullshit ideas that are floating around in your head. You know, I've been there. I've coached thousands of people who go through those same fears. And as I said before, there's very few fears that I haven't come across, or there's very few fears that I know that can't be eliminated very quickly with just a specific bit of advice. And it makes all the difference, you know, being able to start out with calmness and confidence and having trust in the process. You know, you're stepping over into your new life with that frame of mind. And you know, there's a golden opportunity at the beginning of this, at the beginning of any big change. And, you know, there's massive amounts of potential that you can open up for yourself, right?